So what do we know so far about the US and Israeli attack on Iran and Iran's response so far? Because it seems to be dragging a lot of the Middle East and Arab countries into a bit of a regional war. And despite all the efforts by Arab countries to mediate and negotiate a deal between the US and Iran for Iran to not develop its nuclear weapons, the US and Israel decided that they have to attack Iran, and Trump called it an existential threat to the US, Israel, and other Western countries, despite Iran, of course, not being an existential threat to any of them. So far, I think one of the most devastating things that has happened was a school that was bombed in the south of Iran by either the US or Israel, and around 50 people have been killed, most of which were children. Now, Iran has responded by targeting several US bases across the Middle East, that being in Qatar, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq, and Kuwait. And a lot of stray missiles have fallen in normal civilian areas, and some of these scenes have also been very shocking. Now, the background context for this war or this attack on Iran is very important. Obviously, Trump has been saying that he wants to and has to attack Iran for ages now, but recently the negotiation efforts between the US and Iran have been led by the Omanis. And the Omani foreign minister recently just said on TV that the Iranians are willing to compromise on their nuclear stockpiling and said that they won't do it. And then the next day, the US and Israel attack Iran, clearly showing that when the US or Israel negotiate, they are very insincere in their negotiation efforts. Now, what do either sides of this want? The US and Israel say they want to completely debilitate Iran's nuclear program, but also Trump said that he wants to destroy Iran's military infrastructure, missiles, weapons, everything, basically. And then he went on to say that the US will actually strive to topple the regime in Iran, and Netanyahu and Israel have been wanting to do this for ages. So that's what the US and Israeli side want. Whereas Iran has repeatedly said that it doesn't want a war, but is ready for a war if the US and Israel were to start one. And so far, Iran has targeted US bases across the Gulf countries and Middle East, but hasn't targeted the huge US Armada and Navy fleet in the Arabian Gulf. Trump's statements were very dramatic and completely ridiculous, and said that the Iranians pose a threat to the children and families in the US, which is a classic propaganda line before justifying any war or military campaign. And he also said that American lives may be lost in this completely unnecessary war.